Let's take a look at photoLUT L-series profiles for Adobe Lightroom and Camera RAW. In the first place, we need to install these profiles, and they come as a zip package that needs to be extracted. So once you extract the package, there's another zip file that is called install do not unzip. So you don't have to unzip this package. This is going to be your installation package that goes directly to Camera Raw or Lightroom. Now you have copyright notice. Please read it carefully. You will also find a text file with all necessary instructions on how to install them to Camera Raw, Lightroom CC, and Lightroom Classic. If you want to use these profiles on your mobile Lightroom application, in the first place, anyway, you have to install them on your desktop computer, on your desktop version of Lightroom. And though recent versions of Adobe Camera Raw and Lightroom should install these profiles correctly, there were certain issues with some earlier versions of Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop. And if you uploaded your profiles to one piece of software, then they were not correctly populated to all other Adobe applications that were using profiles. So anyway, let's do it the old-fashioned way, and I will suggest to go to Photoshop first. Then you open any image in Photoshop, it doesn't matter what image. And once you have it open, you go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Now you must find these Profiles section, and once you click on these rectangles, you will have this section where you see all the profiles that are installed into your application. Now if you right click with your mouse anywhere in this field, you will see the drop-down menu, and you have to select Import Profiles and Presets. Then you need to find your installation package. Once you found it, click on it and click Open. You already must see photoLUT L-Series Profiles tab. So you can click on the tab and see what each of these profiles do. The interesting thing about these profiles is that they are non-linear. But just to get the idea roughly, it means that you don't have a linear contrast, but instead you can have high contrast only in some areas of the image and only in some colors, and even in some parts of some colors like shadow areas or highlight areas or midtone areas. The contrast can increase in certain areas but decrease in certain other areas. And that is why it is possible to have some very interesting effects that you cannot achieve by any other means, like this L19 profile. If you look at how it works, you will see that it pretty much resembles what clarity does in Lightroom, but the difference is that you will not be getting any halos, because what it affects just a tonal curve. So you are getting more dimension both in oranges and greens and in blues, and the algorithm is very different in different parts of the image, in different areas of the image, tonal areas, and in different colors, and even it affects differently the light parts of that particular color versus other parts of like dark parts of the same color. And these profiles are pretty different. The common thing between them is that they generally do not affect color. You can use them along with your existing Lightroom presets, because these profiles, they do not affect any Lightroom sliders or Camera Raw sliders, if you will. So you can combine these profiles with your existing presets or create new presets with these profiles. Now, the other thing is that you can change the amount of the effect that these profiles have on your image. So you can increase it, decrease it to your taste. If you like the overall effect, but you feel like some shadows need to be a little bit lighter, or some highlights maybe a little bit overblown, you can go to these Lightroom sliders or Camera Raw sliders and fix that with shadows and highlights if you want to. You can change exposure, you can change tonal curves, and you can do all these changes on top of that. Keeping in mind that these profiles only affect mostly the tonal curve of the image, you can have any kind of color grading that you do with your presets on top of that. Obviously, you will see the most prominent effect on images that have a lot of color, images that have cold and warm tones. If you just raise contrast, you will probably lose some highlight or shadow detail. But most of these profiles, they preserve both shadow and highlight detail pretty well. Basically, these profiles were made for portraits to make them look more dimensional. Look at how these profiles affect dimensionality of the image, dimensionality of the face, of skin tones. Let's take a look at some other images, and especially I want to present this very interesting profile that is number 6. Now it has a very interesting effect on highlights, and just look at how it impacts highlights. The sky turns dark while skin tones, they maintain that lightness. And though I said that you need a lot of color in your image to see that very prominent effect, but still, even if you have an image that has less color and more monochromatic, still these tone curves have pretty obvious effect. Now you can see the change in skin tones, you can see the overall change. That is a good example to show how these profiles affect the image while not having any obvious destructive consequences. I hope you like these profiles, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me and I will be more than glad to answer. Thank you.